Good morning, it's Jeffrey Cohen. How are you today? It's May 4th. Big day in the markets today. We're expecting a lot of activity. The Federal Open Market Committee with the Federal Reserve Bank is going to be having a big conversation today about interest rates and about quantitative easing. I'm going to share with you immediately our take on where they're going to end up. And where would I find that? Not that, right? Here it is. Our prediction on the FOMC is that the Fed is going to talk about how the federal funds rate will end the year at 2.5%. In fact, that's where it was roughly before the pandemic hit. We also believe that the assets, total assets from the Federal Reserve, will be brought down $1 billion by the end of this year, so to $8 trillion, or 7.94, and then by 2024 end of year, it'll be down to $6 trillion. So we believe it's a $1 trillion quantitative tightening, and we believe it's taking the federal funds rate up to 2.5% by 2022. The other thing we forecast is that there will be a federal policy to reduce oil and natural gas prices by promoting exploration and production on U.S. and Canadian soil and in U.S. and Canadian waters. We believe this fundamentally is part of an inflation fighting strategy. And the reason is because if you look at the Bureau of Labor statistics for inflation, and you look at the key drivers of inflation, this is just the last chart, March 2022, energy is 32%. All items without food and energy is 6.5%. If you were to take energy down to 2% again, you'd pretty much fix the inflation problem. Pretty much. It's not 100% anymore because it's spreading, but that's important for you. What else? Let's look at the futures. So I always find this interesting, right? So today is a big day. Today, the Federal Open Market Committee is going to be talking about interest rates. And I just don't believe it, right? Dow's up, S&P's up, Nasdaq's up, Russell's up. Even though overnight, you pretty much had a weak market. The VIX is down a little, not a lot, which is nice. So that helps. Interest rates are up before the meeting, 2, 5, and 10, and the 30 is flat, is fixed. So that's not bullish. The dollar's down, which could be bullish. Copper is up, which is interesting, but silver's down. So it's a mixed bag of commodities. It's a mixed bag of it. I mean, interest rates is bearish. Dollar, bullish. Indices, bullish. Nikkei, pretty much in Europe, is bearish. VIX is bullish. Who knows? This market's crazy to understand right now. We talked about currency. So we're still hanging in there at about 105.25 dollars per euro. That's interesting. That's historically it's an attractive, very strong dollar position, but it's not been moving much. Crude oil, 106.90. That's high. So crude oil is up. It's actually up 4.4%, and Bitcoin is up to 39,000 again. So there's money being bet. There's money moving around being bet in this market. And there's leverage bets on everything. We'll look at Yahoo Finance to see if any of the data is a little different. You see the futures, the Russell's up 0.5 point, Nasdaq's up 1/3 of a point, Dow's up 1/3 of a point, S&P futures are up about 0.4 of a point. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here? Major indices, let's see how we traded. VIX down 10% is very bullish for our market. South Korea's down. I don't know. Yeah, the Shenzhen's up. That's interesting. SSE is up. Where's the Hang Seng? Nikkei's down, which we saw. Hang Seng is down. I'd say the markets are mixed. So mainland China's up, but Hang Seng Singapore, Nikkei. It's a mixed bag. I think everyone's just nervous about the FOMC. So, did a couple charts yesterday. So, the S&P 500, the E-mini futures. I was looking for some kind of volume confirmation, and I can't find it, right? So, at least on the E-mini futures, the volume isn't different enough to matter, right? So, if I look at the spider, do I see any kind of volume confirmation? I do a little bit. These are 4-hour charts. You see some volume confirmation here. Didn't move much. There's a tiny drop. Up here, really, it didn't move much. Here you got some, so this confirming low. So as we went from 450 to 420, volume confirmed it. And you got some volume confirmation down around 410. So I would say that is bearish on the market. QQQ, volume was up as it tried to rise, and then it really fell into the rise. So the volume fell into the rise. The volume really fell into the fall. And now we've got high volume here in the last week or so. But again, it's not giving us much. So I would say for QQQ and for the spider, for the S&P 500 and for the NASDAQ Composite 100, the spider is mixed. The QQQ slightly negative. On the Russell, it's interesting, right? Again, looking for confirmation. Market dropped. We had some good volume on the drops. Okay. Stayed flat with reduced volume. Went up with reduced volume. Went down with increased volume. So I would say that the Russell 2000, to the extent people are buying the indices or the ETFs and not the underlying stocks, there's some negative pressure. So kind of reminds me of a stock that we hold where there's some significant negative pressure. Let's take a look at our 3 holdings. It's not a pump and dump because we're holding them. But American Shared Hospital Services, they've got their remote-only investor call coming up, their earnings release, proxy meeting. But they just signed a joint venture out of Mexico that's going to help them. You see Corbis, same kind of thing, right? Volume on the downside, right? There's really no volume. A lot of volume here when it fell, when it reached the bottom. And then here when it went up. So it's some volume up and down. So all this tells me is it's a meme stock. There's no volume confirmation at all on that one. And then for Summit Midstream Limited Partners, they issued their earnings release, their press release. And in my opinion, it was pretty positive. They raised expected earnings for the year. They paid down $34 million of debt. There's more activity behind their pipeline, so that looks attractive. Something we saw yesterday, now we're not going to get all political on you, but yeah, let's do this. So there's a document that was leaked, and so maybe I'll get a little bit political. I think it's important. Well, I'm not going to share my politics. I just want you to know what happened. So Supreme Court of the United States, first draft opinion on overturning Roe and Casey. And so it's interesting, 1973, and then Casey was after. And I do want to say this, reading this document, reading this opinion, technically speaking, legalistically speaking, it's a very well-written document. It's very thoughtful. And I went ahead, and I know it's dangerous, but I tweeted some of the key points out of the draft opinion. I'm sticking to my guns in terms of talking about the attributes of it, and yeah, it's been good. It's been good. I actually think that I'm getting some nice chit chat out there. So we're going to talk a little bit about stocks, right? That's why you came here. Jeff, any dividend stocks? No. No dividend stocks to buy today. What should I be buying today? I have my runs on the other screen. So right now, your two best stocks. It's funny, right? So it's the same news. It's the same thing. Let's see if I can make this big for you. 48. Okay. So your TNA is a small cap ETF. It's 3x. That one's attractive. LSCC, NVIDIA. Then everything else is market average or below, and then it comes in with QQQ and Spider, and APH, Amphenol, which we don't know, CG, which is Carlyle Group, and then IWM, and then Microsoft, and then Synoptics, and then Google. So it's interesting, as we've talked about, and then not much further after. 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 4, and then Apple. So this is not a portfolio. These are not portfolios. This is just individual stocks. So if you're going to buy something today and you're looking for a good risk return, it's TNA. Two stocks that are still scoring well. 1 times 10 to the negative 4 better than the market is Lattice Semiconductor, NVIDIA. And then you get into all of these are scoring at the market, right? QQQ, SPY, IWM, those are all your indices. And then APY, CG, Microsoft, Synoptics, Google, 4 more, and then Apple. And so it's a large cap day today. Stick with the liquidity. I guess that's our tip for you. Stick with the liquidity. We're still not bulls today. We still think that fear of missing out is a cost-effective strategy this week. All right. I want to thank you for listening. It's a short call. This is Jeffrey Cohen, Chicago Quantum. If you like it, if you want to ask questions, go ahead and put a chat in the comments below. We'll answer. And then if you really like what we're saying and you like the fact that we're out here, by the way, we're not paid for this, hit the red subscribe button. Really helps us. All right. Thanks again for listening. Good luck in the markets today. God bless.